Malaria is a serious tropical disease spread by mosquitoes. If it ain't, I mean, if it is not diagnosed and treated promptly, it can be fatal. Which was like not earlier, because again, India is doing lot of projects and these awareness programs to eradicate malaria. Like a single mosquito bite is all it takes to become someone to become infected. And according to a WHO India report, it has contributed to the largest drop in cases worldwide. That is, like in India, we were having some years back, the cases, number of cases were 20 million. Now it has dropped to around 6 million, which is a remarkable achievement for India. In spite of this outstanding achievement in India by the cases of malaria, strict intervention is needed to eradicate malaria completely from India to zero cases. At MediCircle, we are conducting a series on malaria with eminent doctors for World Malaria Day to boost awareness and educate people about the preventions from it. Hi, this is Smita Kumar, and today in this initiative, we are going to speak to Dr. Sundar Krishnan. Dr. Sundar is a senior consultant physician at Hiranandani Hospital, Thane. He has a wide clinical experience of over 19 years. He has been a faculty in various CMEs and conferences. He's a part of the senior management team at Hiranandani Hospital and is also involved in quality initiatives like NABH accreditation. Dr. Sundar is also the recipient of awards like the Bharat Jyot Award. Hello, Dr. Sundar. Welcome to MediCircle.
Hello. Thank you very much for inviting me to this series that you're doing on malaria.
Sure, and we are pleased to have you here with us, Dr. Sundar. So, how can one get malaria, and how is it transmitted? Because we know that it is being caused by a mosquito bite. Can you please give some details about how it is, how a person can contract it, and how it gets transmitted to other people?
Yeah. So, malaria, as you know, is a very widespread disease. It's a disease of the tropical and the subtropical region. So, as you rightly mentioned, there are millions of patients who are afflicted by malaria. I mean, if you go all throughout the world, almost 200 odd million people who are infected with this dreaded disease. And there is a significant amount of mortality also, which is associated with this disease. So we know that malaria is a life-threatening disease,
Yes.
and we should know how exactly it is transmitted so that we can act on it in the right way. So malaria is basically transmitted by a female Anopheles mosquito. Now, what this mosquito does is essentially the mosquito bite happens generally between dusk and dawn. So that's when the mosquito generally bites a human being. And these are infected mosquitoes which carry a parasite which is called Plasmodium. Now, just to let you know, there are 5 types of Plasmodia which cause malaria. Now, there is a Plasmodium vivax, there's a Plasmodium falciparum, there's a Plasmodium ovale, there's a Plasmodium malariae, and there's a Plasmodium knowlesi. Now, for us, basically in India, we need to understand 2 important Plasmodia, the Plasmodium vivax and the Plasmodium falciparum. So now when this infected mosquito, the Anopheles mosquito, bites a human being, through the salivary gland of the mosquito, this parasite enters the bloodstream of the human being. And then it kind of, there is a reproductive phase there. It kind of replicates within the human being. And when, after a certain period, when another mosquito bites this particular individual, the parasite enters into that mosquito, and so on and so forth. So this cycle keeps propagating. Especially in the endemic areas, there is a huge population of malarial cases. You would have more and more cases coming up because of this life cycle, which keeps propagating between a mosquito and a human being. So that's how malaria is transmitted. And this is very important so that we can act and control the disease at various steps during this transmission.
Surely. Um, so, what are the symptoms, Dr. Sundar, of malaria? And adding this to my question, a lot of symptoms of COVID-19 are similar to malaria. So, how can one differentiate? Like, what are the symptoms of COVID-19 and what are the symptoms? They are definitely different from malaria. So, please give your views on that.
During this pandemic of COVID, I mean, I think any fever, one has to keep COVID as the first diagnosis. So let's be very clear. At this point, when somebody is dealing with the pandemic, when the numbers are so huge, a
Yes.
patient who has fever, you don't waste any time in testing yourself for COVID, because the earlier you test it, the earlier you start treatment, it's always better. Having said that, I would like to add that patients with malaria may also present with similar kind of symptoms. They may have fever. Now, typically in malaria, you tend to have fever with chills and rigors, and that happens because the parasite, which is in the red blood cell ruptures, and when it gets released into the bloodstream, you tend to have this chills and rigors. So both patients can present with fever. Now, the issue is there could be a lot of rigors, which would be there in a patient with malaria, high fever with rigors. So that kind of, to some extent, would differentiate a patient of COVID from, say, a patient of malaria. So this is one of the things. And the other thing is there is a certain periodicity of fever, which you see in malaria.
Okay.
So typically, the fever is not a continuous fever. In malaria, the fever tends to happen at intervals of 48 hours or 72 hours. So probably with a Plasmodium vivax, you would have a fever which would happen every 48 hours. With a Plasmodium falciparum, you would probably have a fever happening every 72 hours. Of course, this can change. I mean, I'm not saying this is the rule, but this is one way of probably understanding whether it's different from a COVID thing. Of course, at the end of the day, without doing a test, it's almost impossible to tell you whether it's COVID or malaria. But these are probably some pointers which may help you to decide whether it's a COVID case or a malarial case. Of course, with COVID, you may have other symptoms like sore throat, cough, and all, which would be present, which may not be present with a malarial case. And COVID presents with a lot of body ache, weakness, malaise, which can also be there in malaria, but it's more to a larger extent with patients with COVID. Of course, when COVID, the lungs are the predominant organs which get affected. With malaria, it is various other organ systems. When malaria gets complicated, various organ systems are also involved. So coming back to malaria, since we are discussing about malaria, the other signs and symptoms probably which you would need to look at is, because malaria destroys the red blood cells, there would be a drop in hemoglobin. So the patients would be having anemia. The patients may have jaundice because of the elevated bilirubin levels which are there in the blood. If it's a complicated malaria, the kidney might get affected. So patients may land up with fall in urinary output and all that. And of course, there's a type of malaria which is called cerebral malaria, which is caused by the falciparum strain. So what typically happens is the patient may be confused, disoriented, and at times coma can lead to coma and even death. So, but at this point in time, pertaining to your question, I think whatever symptoms I actually enumerated about COVID is something you should think and keep in mind. And if you get fever in today's scenario, please go ahead and get yourself tested at the earliest for COVID. Don't wait till the COVID symptoms increase and you land up with fall in oxygen levels and things like that.
Yes, definitely. As we are facing lot of, cases, there is a scarcity of beds also, scarcity of oxygen also. Yes, you need to take definitely a wise decision. So as Dr. Sundar rightly said, that we definitely need to check why the fever is coming. So it might be due to COVID and might be due to malaria, but to find it out would be definitely needed so that the diagnosis and other treatment can be started. So moving
Absolutely.
on to this, Dr. Sundar, as we know that malaria is sometimes fatal, but it is predominant. Like here, in a lot of tropical areas, malaria also comes, and it's like common to have, especially in children. So, what are the precautions we need to maintain so that we can prevent malaria from happening?
Yeah. What one needs to understand is we are dealing with a disease which is absolutely preventable. So we are lucky that this disease can actually be prevented. So we need to have means and modes of actually ensuring that we prevent this disease. So how do we do it? The one of the first things that we can do is reduce the contact between the vector and the human being. The vector being the Anopheles mosquito and the host, which is the human being. So how do we reduce the contact? We do it by using nets, like barrier methods, like nets which are used, which could be coated with certain insecticides. We could use mosquito repellents, which all of us are familiar with. We have so many mosquito repellents available in the market which we use. There could be creams which you can use. And simple things that people can do is, since this mosquito tends to bite post dusk and before dawn, one should ensure that in areas where there is a high prevalence of the disease, try and wear full sleeve garments, because that would reduce the exposure of the body and exposure to bites. So this is one way you try to prevent oneself from getting disease, by minimizing the exposure. Now, what are the other ways? The other ways are actually by eliminating the mosquito or the larvae. These are the ones which are causing the disease. So the adult form of the mosquito you must have seen a lot of people, the municipal workers and all coming and fogging in your
Yes.
areas. So that's essentially for the adult form of the mosquito. So
Okay.
that's the form of the mosquito which is destroyed by fogging. For the larval form, that is the form which comes out from the eggs and which the mosquito lays in these stagnant pools of water.
Yes.
There could be sprays of insecticides or oils which can be done on these stagnant pools so that it destroys these larvae. Now, there are some biological methods also, like there are these fish. There's a particular fish called as Gambusia fish, which can actually be released into these pools and which consumes these larvae. So that's one of the ways of actually eradicating the larvae in these various stagnant pools. And it's known to be something which has been very environmental friendly also. At the
Yes.
same time, eliminates these spots where the transmission can occur.
Yes.
So you actually eliminate the vector. So that's another way of preventing the disease. Now, the final way of eliminating the disease is by actually treating the disease, because if you treat one malarial case, you would prevent the transmission to others. So it's as simple as that. So the more people you treat, the more people would have, the more people with no malarial parasite in their system. So lesser chances of transmission. So I mean, treating a person with malaria and ensure that he's completely cured of it would go a long way in preventing transmission all across. So these are probably various ways in which I could think of where you could prevent disease. Now, one small point which I would like to make is there is a something called as a chemoprophylaxis. This is use of drugs before you go to an area which is endemic. So, like probably a country like ours, which is endemic, a person says somebody coming from the US, he wants to travel to India, and he's worried about malaria. So probably he would want to take these medicines. There are drugs which can be given weekly once before you travel to the country. So in a way, they help to, like a drug called chloroquine, which is one of the most widely used drugs for malaria, is could be given before the patient travels to the country and subsequently continued as long as he's in the country. So in a way, you're taking a once weekly dose just to prevent yourself or eliminating the disease when it comes. So this is one more method of actually preventing the spread of the disease or preventing yourself from getting the disease.
So adding just one question here, preventing, as we need to know, because a lot of foreigners who travel to India have got a lot of scare that they would be contracting this disease. So having the, I mean, getting these medicines and consuming them won't be, I mean, having a side effect of that, because they might not have been
Yeah.
infected yet.
Yeah, get trust me, getting the disease is worse than probably taking the tablet. So for a person who's never been exposed to the disease, I mean, it's something which if you land up with malarial disease, I mean, the whole trip is gone for a toss. So
Yes.
I mean, if you're talking purely from that perspective, I mean, I would definitely say that consuming these drugs are generally drugs which are just given once a week.
Okay.
The actual therapeutic dose is something different, where you're given the drug once after 6 hours, after 48 hours. So the
Yes.
frequency, once you get the disease, is much more of administering these drugs. So when you're actually giving the disease before he's giving the drug before, as a preventive thing, is just once a week. So there's hardly any side effect associated with the drug per se. So if you're worried about the side effects, I can assure you that just taking one drug once a week has no real major side effect. So the only probable side effect is would be a little bit of gastritis maybe, but that could be minimized by having these drug with meals. So that's what we would do.
Okay. So, Dr. Sundar, what would be the treatment process? Like in some cases, lot of cases, patients actually recover from the fever and the body ache after taking the medicines. But yes, what should be the course like? And even after recovering from fever and body ache, the proper medication should be continued to actually ensure that malaria is not there in the body.
Yeah, that's a very valid point that you make. One of the more major problems we face as healthcare providers is people not taking medicines and completing the full course of therapy. Because somehow there is a tendency that one tends to take the drug and then one starts feeling better.
Yes.
One starts stopping the use of the drug. So that's something which I think we will need to educate people that they should not be doing in cases of diseases, especially like malaria. Now, why am I saying that? So now let's say we have a patient with malaria. There are various modalities which exist for treating the disease. So you could give oral drugs for some patients who have simple, uncomplicated malarias who can be treated at home. There are oral medications that are available. There are a variety of oral medications which are available, which a doctor would probably decide for you. And these can be administered and taken safely. Supposing a patient needs to take intravenous drugs, so there could be those patients who would probably be complicated or would have severe symptoms, or they may not be in a position to consume drugs because of probably repeated episodes of vomiting or things like that. Such patients who are admitted in the hospital would require intravenous drugs. So these are various IV drugs. We get drugs which are given through the parenteral route. We call it oral and parenteral. Oral is when we give it through the mouth, and parenteral when we give it through the IV or the intramuscular apparatus. So these are drugs which can be given through that means. And in addition to these drugs, there are also other supportive therapies you might require. So a patient who's probably having fever, you may need to give intravenous paracetamol. You may need to give, if a patient is vomiting, you may need to give IV medications to stop the vomiting from happening. If he's having low blood pressure, you may need to give IV fluids to such a patient. Do remember, platelets do drop in malaria as well. It's not just dengue where the platelets drop. So we have to keep a watch on that as well. Occasionally, a patient might even require a transfusion of platelets. If there are patients who might require blood transfusions if the hemoglobin drops too low. And then, as I told you, malaria can get complicated. So you may need to have therapies to target patients who land up with renal failure or patients who land up with liver failure. So if you look at the treatment, there are treatments which exist. So the good thing about malaria is there are specific anti-malarial drugs which are available. We do know that there is a resistance to drugs also which exists, and that's why you have to choose the right drug based on the available patterns. So as you now coming back to your question, you did say that one should be how long do you take these drugs, and whether you stop it once you feel better. Please understand that resistance develops because of the way you kind of treat drugs. I mean, if you don't take the full course, the organism can actually get resistant to the drug. So you have to be careful that you take the full course. Another thing, especially with respect to malaria, is one of the types of malaria is the Plasmodium vivax malaria. Now, what the Plasmodium vivax malaria does is the parasite continues to remain in the liver. And this parasite form is called a hypnozoite. So it's actually lying dormant in the liver. And after a certain particular period of time, you might feel better once the 3-4 day course is over, and the patient might feel fine and all that. And subsequently, after a period of 3-4 weeks or even after months, you may again land up with a relapse of the disease. That is because the malarial parasite remains in the liver, and it comes out from the liver and goes and attacks the red blood cells, infects the red blood cells, and causes signs and symptoms. So to completely eradicate this, there is a therapy called as radical cure. So radical cure is eliminating the liver form of the parasite. And that is done by means of certain drugs called as, there is a drug called as Primaquine, which has to be administered for 14 days after you get infection with Plasmodium vivax malaria. And one has to take the full course of 14 days so that you don't have a relapse of the disease. So this, I think, would answer your question as to how long we need to continue medications, because in certain forms of malaria, you need to continue medications at least for 2 weeks. And as I also told you, one needs to keep monitoring your blood parameters regularly to see that the patient doesn't have a prolonged anemia which would require treatment, or so on and so forth. So these are things which would need to be monitored.
Definitely. वन लास्ट क्वेश्चन डॉक्टर सुंदर, जैसे कि बहुत सारे बीमारियों के वैक्सीन आ चुके हैं, मलेरिया का भी शायद वैक्सीन है, लेकिन क्यों नहीं बच्चों को हम लोग दे सकते हैं, क्योंकि खासकर कि बच्चे मलेरिया का सबसे ज्यादा शिकार होते हैं. तो इज देयर एनी वैक्सीन और समथिंग व्हिच कैन बी डेवलप्ड फॉर द चिल्ड्रन, एंड व्हाट इज द स्टेज लाइक?
हम सब चाहते हैं कि वैक्सीन हो मलेरिया के लिए और कोई भी बीमारी के लिए, जो भी ये इन्फेक्शियस बीमारी है उसके लिए हम वैक्सीन के लिए हम हमेशा, हमारे एक उत्सुकता रहती है कि हमको कोई वैक्सीन मिले. बट अभी तक आपको मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि मलेरिया का अभी तक वैक्सीन कोई अवेलेबल नहीं है, जो हम अभी ऑन अ वाइड स्प्रेड बेसिस हम किसी को दे सकें. डेवलपमेंटल स्टेज पर है अभी भी, और डेवलपमेंटल स्टेज में होने के कारण हम किसी को वो वैक्सीन अभी तक फिलहाल देने के we are not in a position to give that vaccine to anyone at this particular point in time. So at this point, vaccine is not going to be a solution for us because we don't have a vaccine for malaria. But what we can probably do is more of those preventive measures. और बच्चे भी हो, और मेनली बिकॉज मलेरिया जो है वो खास करके बच्चों को अफेक्ट करता है, खास करके वल्नरेबल पॉपुलेशन को अफेक्ट करता है, जैसे प्रेग्नेंट लेडीज हो, बच्चे हैं, या सीनियर सिटीजन्स हैं, या किसी की इम्यूनिटी कम हो, प्रतिकार शक्ति जिनका कम है, उनको मलेरिया उसका ज्यादा प्रभाव ऐसे पॉपुलेशन में रहता है. तो we have to ensure that we prevent the disease rather than and so that we can control the disease. We at some point in time we want to eradicate malaria. We hope that we land up with zero malaria. It's easier said than done. So educating the people like you're doing through this platform of yours goes a long way in actually making them aware of the fact that they can take measures to kind of prevent this disease. I mean, avoiding stagnation of water, which is so very important. I mean, these are things which we can do. It's very simple to do actually. And or even just spray some oil on the water when it's lying down. Ensure that there are not too many breeding places. If we can avoid all those things, I mean, we can go a long way in preventing the disease. अगर हम ये कर सकें, साथ साथ में ट्रीटमेंट भी दें, तो ऐसा दिन आ जाए शायद जब वैक्सीन की जरूरत ना पड़े, उसके पहले ही हम कंट्रोल कर लें.
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल. सो आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर सुंदर, जो आप मेरी सर्कल शो पे आए और आपने मलेरिया, जो कि बहुत कॉमन बीमारी है, उसके बारे में कुछ फैक्ट्स बताए और साथ ही साथ प्रिवेंशन के भी तरीके बताए. तो जो भी आप ये वीडियो सुन रहे हैं, काइंडली टेक मलेरिया इज आल्सो एज सीरियस, बिकॉज कहीं कहीं कुछ केसेस में ये फेटल भी होता है. एंड द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, डोंट मिक्स द सिम्टम्स विद कोविड. इफ यू आर हैविंग फीवर एंड इफ द सिम्टम्स आर सिमिलर टू मलेरिया और कोविड, ट्राई एंड डायग्नोस at earliest as possible, because कॉम्प्लिकेशंस होने पे वो ट्रीटेबल और रिवर्सिबल करना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. जैसा कि मलेरिया के करीब 229 केसेस है, 229 मिलियन केसेस हैं, जिसमें करीब 4,09,000 मलेरिया के डेथ्स रिकॉर्ड हुए हैं पूरे विश्व में, पूरे संसार में. तो इस तरह से देखा जाए तो मलेरिया का भी जो केसेस हैं वो काफी हद बहुत ज्यादा है. इंडिया धीरे धीरे तरक्की कर रहा है इस तरह से कि काफी केसेस को हम लोग ने कम करने की कोशिश की है. एंड जैसा डॉक्टर सुंदर ने बताया कि अभी तक इसका कोई वैक्सीन नहीं है. सो प्रिवेंशन इज द ओनली क्योर, एंड वी हैव टू मेक श्योर दैट देयर आर नो ब्रीडिंग स्पेसेस फॉर मलेरिया parasites. Thank you so much, Dr. Sundar, for joining us. We wish you all the best for all your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.